it's Diaperperv,
Hi, I'm Mae Ling.
and we're going to talk about all the times that we've told people about ABDL or diapers or age play in our lives and how people reacted to that. And stay tuned till the end because I'm going to tell you a story about how I told a room full of about 300 people what ABDL and diaper fetish is. So I think the first time I recalled ever telling anyone, I was around 1920, and I just discovered diapers, and I just discovered like the internet, that there was words for all these things that I liked, because before that I didn't know.
But what did you type in to discover this?
Right, okay.
You know, how did you get there?
Okay, so when I got my first computer, I was 19, and I didn't know what to type. So I think I typed in girls peeing pants or something like that, because that was my first interest. It's omarashi. So I think I typed in something like wedding pants. And I didn't know it was a fetish or that other people like that too. So I remember the first site I saw was wetset.net, and it's very old. It's an Australian site, and it was a forum back then. And I still remember the first picture I saw, and then I clicked on it. I was so excited because it was just this new discovery. And half the forum was omarashi, and then the other half was diaper fetish and adult babies. So, obviously I gravitated towards what I liked, and then I was like, wait, there's a whole other thing that I didn't click on. So I clicked on it and saw it and read whatever there was to read, and the pictures, there wasn't a lot of pictures. I mean, this is 1996.
So sad.
You know how many people have scanners?
Read stuff? Oh, nobody reads things nowadays.
Right? Oh my goodness. These Instagram kids have no idea how hard things were.
Back in the days when you had to read through stuff. Now you just scroll through photos, you lucky.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like them for that. So I remember I told my friend, my childhood friend, and I don't remember anything about it because I don't even remember telling her. But I remember when I rediscovered my diaper fetish, when it clicked again, and it was a fetish and it was sexual for me. She came to visit me, and I was so excited about this rediscovery that I was like, okay, we're going to talk about fetishes because I just discovered something. And without missing a beat, she said, oh yeah, you're into guys in diapers. That was her exact words. And my jaw just dropped, and I'm like, holy shit, how do you even remember that I told you? I don't remember telling you. And she remembered.
I think it's a pretty unique thing when you tell somebody that you like diapers. And so, of course, this person's going to be like, yeah, it's stuck with me forever. And that person probably went online and looked up, diaper fetish.
She didn't have a computer because she was younger than me at the time. And computers were so expensive.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm pretty sure we didn't do that at, the school computer.
Or did you?
I don't know. I mean, what were people doing in 96 after that?
I don't know.
Before personal computers or cell phones. Yeah, so that was one time. And she had nothing negative to say about it. She's like, oh, that's cool, because I remember you were into that when we were younger. And that was it. And that was the extent of the conversation.
Which is a really cool reaction or response from her, right? Because if she had a negative response and she was like, oh, you're into guys in diapers, then you would kind of feel like, oh, maybe this is wrong, or maybe this isn't good. So I feel like that interaction kind of provides you the support to and gateway to where you are now, right?
Yeah, no, that's so true. I never really thought about that, because I'm sure there's other people that tell their friends and they're like, ew. And I've heard this story a lot. A lot of people were watching TV with their friends and family, and then that CSI episode came on with the adult baby lawyer who had the secret Nursery? You haven't seen that?
No.
Yeah.
I don't watch much TV.
Oh, that's good.
I make more stuff than I watch.
Yes. That's a good thing. And that episode would come out on, and then their friends and family would say, ew, gross, those people are crazy, and who would do stuff like that? And they would say a negative thing about it. So now they know that their friends think it's gross, so they'll probably not want to come out or feel shame about it.
Totally. And it's just like super hurtful for that person, right?
Yeah.
Now they feel like they can't trust their own friends and their own support system, but now it's just like, if they don't support that, then who else would support that? So it's kind of a bummer.
It is.
But let's open it up to just what I like to do. I'm not going to talk about the first time, but what I like to do is test the waters with strangers.
Okay.
And immediately you can kind of get a feel for like what they're like in the first few words of exchange, right? And so if you're in a group setting and people are like, oh, I really gotta pee right now, I'll be like, well, you know, if you wore a diaper, you just pee right there. To complete strangers, or like people I just met at the beginning. And I think it's a good feel for that group, right? Because some of my friends know that I'm into diaper play and whatnot.
Yeah.
And other people who I've just met for the first time are just like, who's this bitch? What? And then you can kind of see like a little glint in their eye of like, oh, she cool. Maybe that's a thing, you know? Or maybe they would be like really like, oh no, that's weird. And I'll immediately be like, oh, okay, well, why do you think that's weird?
I like that immediately you ask them, why?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
that's great.
Why do you feel threatened by it? Why do you think it's weird? Just because it's not norm, right? And how does your feelings like that, I'm not pushing the fetish upon them, right? I'm not like, well, you know what? You should throw this diaper on you, blah, blah, blah. I'm just like, well, let me understand you. And so that you could understand where I'm coming from. Right. And so that there's just, you know, more conversation about it. So you get more comfortable with the idea. And then it's just out there on the table.
I love that because I never really thought of it as me trying to understand them and what their apprehensions and their understanding of something is. And I think that's really missing in a lot of times because the person becomes defensive or shuts down and not say anything more and not elaborate anything more.
Totally.
So that's good because
I feel like when it comes to kink and stuff, right? I feel like it's very one-way street where it's like, well, I have this kink and other people don't like it. And you're just like,
it's really polarizing.
Whoa there, you know, like they don't like it for a reason. Did you ever consider why they didn't like it? Maybe they had a negative interaction with it, and so they just are looking for something else to ease off into it, you know?
Or maybe all they know about that kink, whatever it is what they've seen on the media or what they've seen on fictional television shows, which is not a good representation of any of it. I've never seen anything good represented.
No.
Have you seen that show? I think it's on Netflix about professional dominatrixes in a dungeon.
Bonding.
Yeah.
Yes.
What do you think of that?
The first season, it was kind of, I think it's great that they are bringing more exposure into the lifestyle in the community, but it wasn't done in a very, educational manner. Yeah. And so when people see it, they think it's that, right?
Right.
But it's just one perspective.
Right. And there's a lot of miseducation in a show like that.
Yeah.
I like that you started with the positive first. But yeah, so many things were wrong with that show and how the clients interacted with the dominance and the whole exchange. And a lot of the fetishes weren't represented the best, but at least it's representation. Do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing?
That's the same thing as like, well, is bad publicity still good because it's publicity, right? Like,
It's kind of a double-edged sword.
right?
I guess it depends on the person and
Yeah.
what happens to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then for the second season, I think they did a better job, but that's because they hired somebody in the industry to like give them advice to go and shape that. So they hit a few good points.
Okay.
But I still don't like the angle of how they used the lifestyle and the kink in the community as like the butt of a joke type of thing.
Yeah.
Because it was more comedic relief.
Yeah.
And I think, it's great to have comedy and whatnot. Everybody could definitely use that in their lives right now. But maybe not make a joke out of someone's kink.
Right.
You know, when they're already having a tough time with it.
Yeah.
So.
And that's right. They do make fun of it.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen the second season, but maybe I will watch it.
It's better.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good. So the times that you've made jokes about, wearing a diaper if you need to pee or whatever, or in traffic, have you ever had people be like, ew, gross?
Not necessarily, and I feel that it's true because I choose to surround myself with certain people, right? So like attracts like, and if you are putting it out there about how open you are in your life and you share about these things all the time, then more people will be like curious about it and ask you, hey.
Yeah.
But, I'm also not like you sharing with 300 people because,
well, that's a whole other
a small,
story.
controlled
right.
dynamic.
And I'm pretty much told, I guess, all my friends
that
I think are friends, yeah.
Same.
So,
and I'll offer it up to my friends, too.
Really?
Oh, yeah. As soon as, I bring it up, I'll be like, if you ever want to try one, let me know. I'll put you in one.
That's so great.
I love it.
Jeez, I should be more, I guess, offering.
Because I feel like you can't, it's kind of like food, right?
You don't
it's like,
know if you like it until you try it.
Exactly. You should try Thai food. It's really freaking amazing. And they're like, okay. But if you just say it's great and amazing and you describe the taste, but you don't offer the food up to them, how do they know it's going to be good or not? So I'm just like, here's your diaper on a silver platter.
I feel like I should be offering prostate massages because I really like those. But I don't want to prostate massage my friends. That's weird. I mean,
that's more intimate than changing a diaper.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So I won't be doing that.
Line them up.
I've had negative reactions when I've told people.
How'd that go?
They're not really negative reactions, but they have a lot of questions about the people who like to engage in the lifestyle and in the fetish. So questions I've had, and some of these people are kink aware, they're in kink themselves, more into traditional power exchange and BDSM. But some of the examples of questions I've had are like, oh, have these people been molested as kids? Did they have a bad childhood? Is a common one I've heard. Do they have mental issues, or are they mentally challenged? And I guess initially when my friends ask me that, I get really defensive.
Sure.
But then I know I can't get that way. I have to explain it to them in a more calm, chill way, like this.
In a neutral manner.
Yeah, in a neutral manner.
Those exact same questions I've received just in the kink community itself.
Yes.
Right? So it's not specifically diaper fetish or diaper play. It's in general anything that goes aside from the norm in kink, I think. And I can't speak for all people, right? Everybody comes into it at a different part of their lives, at a different moment in their lives. And it could be either fun or it could be healing a traumatic past.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's true.
You can't,
But
it's really hard to say.
It's the same with every kink, too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, some people like to be submissive or like bondage or like whatever because they're working through their own things.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like when people say, oh, I'm a rope bottom, or oh, I like, to be submissive, they don't get the same, I guess, questions as wearing a diaper or age play. And I guess that bothers me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like if you were to ask the people who are into these kinks that question, they might not even know the answer to it, right? Because it takes so long for a person to go through a specific journey in their life to figure out and process what's happening. Sometimes you just like a certain color because you like a certain color. I love green, right? But I can't sit here and tell you why I love green.
Right.
And this is pretty to look at, Someone could tell you, I love diapers. Well, why do you like diapers? And they won't be like, well, back when I was 5 years old and blah, 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 I really just crave that feeling. Maybe they just like the sound of it. Maybe they feel comfortable and safe in a diaper. Maybe they just like the crinkles.
That's pretty universal, the feeling. Yeah. I think why we like anything, a lot of it has to do with feeling and how it makes us feel.
Yeah.
Because I can answer that about Halloween. It's a feeling. Yeah. It's not things. They accumulate all into a feeling of like warmth and love and fuzziness. So it's the same for.
And how do you feel when you bring up this fetish or kink to strangers or to people?
Well, first of all, I have to mentally prepare myself that they're going to ask me questions, and they might ask me questions like these that I feel defensive about because this is what I'm into. So I have to make sure, okay, am I mentally prepared to answer the questions, and do I have time to? Are we going into dinner right now with other people and I can't answer the questions? No, I'm probably going to bring it up at a time where I have an extra 20 minutes. So I encourage them to ask questions, and I want them to because I think education is important.
Absolutely. Education is super important because, especially now when everybody has access, right?
Oh,
You're super young and you have an iPhone. Yeah. And you can Google anything. And it's important to steer them in a certain way, right? If you're going to share something with them. So.
Yeah, very, very important. We're going to talk about that in
stay tuned for the
telling
next
your partner.
episode.
And another misconception I get when I tell my friends is that if they're an age player, that they're stuck in an age play mindset the whole time. Because they don't really understand how someone could go in and out, or how they just think, oh, they act like a baby the whole time, so they must think like a baby this whole time that they're doing something. Like when I was telling my friend about CapCon and there was a talent contest, and then she did an imitation of what she thought people would be like. She's like, oh, are all the babies hey, like that? Yeah. And I'm like, no, they're just clapping like you or I would clap when watching a talent show.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand that because you or I know it. There's little space, and then you're an adult most of the time, and so I figured out a good way to explain it. Okay. So I volunteer as a scare actor at a charity haunted house, right? So I get there, I'm already in makeup and costume. I actually do have a space that I go into, and it's amazing. It's very, very calming when I'm in character. But I don't get there and I'm in this character. I'm myself. I'm like, hey everybody, all right, we're getting everything set up, and then we get into our places, and then when the people come, then I'm in character.
Exactly.
And then when I'm done scaring them, then I'm just myself again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's literally how it is, right? You don't look at an actor and be like, oh, they must be that role
Yeah.
all the time. You don't look at Jennifer Aniston, right, and be like, that's Rachel, and she plays Rachel in her everyday life.
Right.
No, from Friends. Like, she is her own person, right? People think of femdoms the same way. Like, oh, she's a dominant mistress. She must walk around and just whip everybody into shape.
And
like,
it'd be really mean and just order people around
yeah,
and spit on them.
no, you gotta pay me for that. No. So that's how it is. It's kind of like role play, right? And if you're not doing role play, you should definitely get into it because it's extra fun.
Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I would picture age play as age role playing, right?
Yeah. Because it is.
Yeah.
It's role playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're playing a younger age.
Yeah.
And that's how I would take it.
Sometimes you play an older age.
Yeah.
I realized I've been age playing since I was like 20. I've been age playing a 50-year-old woman. I'm so proud of it. I have my own AARP card for years with my own name on it. I'm so proud.
Life alert.
I mean, my husband, you know, I'm giving him one. Yeah.
That's great.
What's so fun? You could save someone's life.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Oh yeah. So should I tell that story?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I'm ready to hear.
Okay. So my friend and I were going to this comedy sports thing in Los Angeles, and the title was called Facebook. So what they do is they pick someone from the audience, and they look at their Facebook page, and then they do sketches on it, like, you know, comedy sketches. So it's improv. So people were raising their hands. I raised my hand, and I said, yeah, I'm a performer in Las Vegas, and I met my husband on Craigslist. So then they're like, okay, we'll get back to you. And then other people had stories, but they were more like stories that happened to them or happened to someone else. So they're like, well, you know, her story is interesting, so let's get her up here. So I got on stage, and they typed in my Facebook profile, and they're like, oh, there she is, dancing and performing and doing stuff. And so we started talking about how I met my husband, and then I told them, oh yeah, I've only been in Vegas X amount of years. I moved from Costa Rica. And they said, well, what were you doing in Costa Rica? I said, well, I own fetish sites, so, you know, it's just living and just hanging out. And they're like, fetish sites? What kind of fetish sites? Here's the good stuff. So I told them, well, one of them is girls peeing their pants, and some of it's light femdom, and another one is adult baby mommies, but point of view style from the adult babies. And they're like, what? So I had to explain that in detail, what it was. And they're like, huh. And they're like, well, do you think that right now in the audience, there is someone who has a fetish like that? And I'm like, yes, probably. Because it was a lot of people. It was like 300 people. So they were really interested in the adult baby part. Probably because you see that on TV, and it's kind of, you know, weird on TV. So then I sat down, and then they did sketches about that. So one guy was pretending to be Johnny Depp, and he's going into an audition as an adult baby. So I think they were making fun of Johnny Depp's career than adult babies.
That I can get behind. Because then they're not making fun of the kink, right? Which would affect the people who are in the audience who has that fetish.
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe you gave someone that fetish, like at that moment, right? Maybe they went home and they were like, oh, that was great, and like Googled stuff, and now they're in a diaper.
Maybe.
Thanks to you.
Maybe. I'm hoping it's one of the actors, because there were a couple actors on stage, like doing the improv, that are on primetime comedy shows that people would know. So they know. And
maybe
I'm sure
they're doing their skit in a diaper.
I hope they told some friends about it. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's great, right? The more open you are about talking about something, the more you share about it, the less weird it gets, right?
Yeah.
Because now it's like, oh, everybody has foot fetish.
Exactly. And after 50 Shades, everyone knows what that is, what BDSM or power exchange is, and it's not so taboo. So
yeah,
I think just talking about it, like, hey, I like this stuff.
And I wouldn't say like, do your part and go out there and tell people about your fetish. I'm not saying that like, even though we are really open about it and talk about our fetish, if you're somebody who's a little bit more shy and like, wants to stay closed, that's fine. I'm not saying go out there and be like, hey, world, I am into this fetish, But you could be anonymous on a forum, on a platform, and share your experience and photos anonymously. And that could, add in to the community itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In a greater good way.
Yeah. So on that note, go ahead and share with
your friends.
I mean, you don't have to be your friends. It doesn't have to be your friends.
People on the internet, strangers,
anybody. Just go ahead and share. Just something positive about it. If you want to see the community grow, if you want more people to play with in any way, the more you give, the more you get. And that's what I firmly believe in. So
me too. Education is key. Even like a lot of big cities have kink classes. Approaching them and say, hey, I would like to teach a class on diapers or age play, if they haven't already had something like that. That's very helpful.
I actually saw one adult fetish store in Portland that started selling diapers. I never see stores selling diapers, right?
No.
And they only had takeables, which I was like, oh, well, that's not. But I was really impressed that they were selling diapers.
Wow.
So that just opens up a whole new world, right? To like the regular kink stores. So.
Yeah, it almost like shows it as an accepted kink.
Yeah.
That's pretty badass.
Well,
okay.
Thank you,
Thank you for watching.
Joining us today and watching, and we'll see you in the next episode where we talk about, what are we talking about?
I forgot. I think
pleasures or telling your partner.
Telling your partner.
Telling your partner, which you can, click here or there or here. Anyway, subscribe.